Hi, my name is Keith Ingram, and welcome to this short presentation on autism and the transition to adulthood. I am the Autism Lead Officer for Cardiff and the Vale of Glamorgan Councils, and I'm here to talk to you about transitions, with specific reference to young people moving on from school to adulthood. What services are available that you can perhaps signpost them onto, what knowledge you already have from your experience as a teacher, and how you can adapt that knowledge and practice to help support young people in taking that journey into adulthood. Today's presentation is in two sections. This first section is pre-recorded and concentrates on a sample of agencies and organisations, possible destinations that may be helpful to a young person at this stage in their lives. The second section is live and provides opportunities for you to reflect on what you already know and how, with that knowledge, you can adapt your practice to be effective practitioners with young people at this stage. I'll give you a brief biography so you understand why I'm talking to you. My involvement with autism began nearly 25 years ago when my son, Sam, was diagnosed with autism, in his case, Asperger's syndrome. Sam couldn't cope in mainstream education, so went to what was then called Ashgrove Special School. You would perhaps know it better by its current name, Ysgol. I was a chair of governors at Ashgrove for 10 years, seeing it develop from what was originally a school for the deaf. Yes, we really had those things back then, into what was, at the time, one of the largest autism specialist schools in the UK. I began working with Cardiff and the Vale of Glamorgan in 2010, and I am currently chair of the National Autism Leads Group, and I sit on Welsh Government's National Autism Advisory Group. I'm going to talk to you this evening about a specific transition, which is the transition that takes place at 18 or 19 years of age, when a young person leaves school and goes on to more adult pursuits. This is not the first transition that they will have experienced, and nor is it the last. They will have transitions even in primary school, going from infants to juniors, transitions from juniors up to senior school, and transitions in senior school. That may be simply changing classes or moving to another type of teaching when they perhaps go into sixth form type studies, things of that nature. Each transition for an autistic child and autistic young person is important and needs carefully managing and carefully handling. You already have many of the skills that you need for this. We will be looking at those skills in the second half of this talk and about how you can adapt those skills to working with adults, although you perhaps at this stage only work with small children. Young people inevitably move on from school. They perhaps go to college or university, but eventually they will leave education and continue on into their adult lives. So, as they approach this stage, it's time to think, okay, we are here. Where would the young person like to be? And that's important, the young person, not the school, not the college, not the local authority, the young person themselves. If the young person has significant communication difficulty, then it can be difficult to know exactly what they might need, to know exactly what they might want. But it is essential that those concerned make the effort and understand what the young person wants. We blithely talk about person-centered planning, but the young person must be at the center of everything that's decided. Sometimes a young person's dreams might seem far-fetched, but we've all had far-fetched dreams. Perhaps like all of us, they need tempering and a little dose of reality bringing into it. But we shouldn't be seeking to consign a young person to a particular destination post-school simply because it's available, simply because it's there, simply because it's an easy way out. This slide lists a range of possible options that a young person might be considering when it's time for them to move on from school. They might want to go to an FE college, perhaps study at a university, embark on some work-based learning, or possibly starting an apprenticeship, or maybe going directly into work. For the young people who have more extensive needs, there are more specialist agencies such as specialist colleges, day services, or perhaps supported living. The options that I've already put up on the slides are just a sample of some of the options that are open to young people. They have the same options open to them as anyone else in society, but just like anyone else, they may be limited by the academic achievement, personal attributes, and so forth. I couldn't have gone on to music college, music conservatoire, and studied the violin. I lacked the talent. I couldn't have gone to a college and studied sport. I lacked the talent. I went to do the things that I had some meagre talent at and concentrated on them. The sample options that I've displayed split neatly into two sections. Those that can be pursued relatively independently by the young person and their family, and perhaps some support agencies. The lower three require more intensive support. Destinations such as further education college, university, work-based learning, an apprenticeship, or work itself are those that are generally pursued independently by a young person, with some support from school, support from Careers Wales, support that is available to the general population. The last three sections that I have there generally require support from more specialised agencies and extra funding from social services and the like. There are specialist colleges that young people with learning disability or autism can attend. These are generally speaking residential in nature. They come at a very high cost, and those costs are borne by health, social care and Welsh Government. Some individuals would like to access day services. This is provided by a local authority, and it allows individuals to go and pursue activities during the day and away from their family. Supported living is an alternative way of living so somebody can go and conduct their adult lives independently, away from their family. They perhaps don't have the ability or aptitude to live fully independently. However, they can enjoy a life supported so they can be as independent as they possibly can be. Specialist agencies who provide support for adults who are autistic normally have very similar access criteria. The individual should have a formal diagnosis of autism. The agencies work with adults, not children. There are different organisations such as Barnardo's or similar that work with children. The agencies I'm discussing this evening are agencies who specialise in adults. In this context, an adult is 18 years and over. Agencies can come and go and various projects come and go. I will highlight the main agency within Cardiff and Vale supporting adults with autism and an example of a third sector or voluntary organisation which is also accessible to autistic adults. The first agency I want to describe is the Cardiff and Vale Integrated Autism Service. This is a service created by and funded by Welsh Government. There are integrated autism services in each health board area in Wales. Cardiff and Vale Integrated Autism Service is based in Penarth, and it is what is described as a multi-agency team. Multi-agency team means that it consists of both health and local authority staff, and it covers the Cardiff and Vale of Glamorgan area. This next slide shows the makeup of the team in the Integrated Autism Service. As you can see, it has a number of clinical specialists, led by a clinical psychologist who has the role of clinical lead. There are 2 autism nurse specialists. Nurse in this context doesn't mean someone who comes along and takes your temperature. They are specialists in diagnosis and support. There is a team manager who is also an occupational therapist. There is another occupational therapist, speech and language therapist, a dietitian, and 5 local authority community staff. I'd like to draw particular attention to the role of the dietitian, as that's an unusual role. You may be familiar with the children's diagnostic team, which has speech and language and occupational therapists as their primary clinicians. We find quite a high prevalence of eating issues amongst adults with autism. This is particularly prevalent amongst young females in their early 20s. Research is currently underway at Cardiff University into some of the issues that might be behind this, and you can find links to papers on this in the additional reading. The team is rounded off by the 5 local authority community staff, whose role it is to signpost individuals towards activities that they might want to partake in the community. The one person missing from that team is myself. I have the role of line managing the 5 local authority community staff. I'm in charge of all strategic matters for autism within Cardiff and the Vale of Glamorgan. There are a number of existing agencies within Cardiff and the Vale who have roles supporting people with autism. These include learning disabilities, community mental health, and adult social services. The role of this team is to provide individual and group support for people who would fall into the gaps between those services. It is not intended, for example, to replace social services or mental health teams. It does, however, work closely in partnership with those organisations, providing them with expertise to help them support people with autism. So, what does this team directly do? Well, it provides diagnostic assessments of autism for adults without learning disability in Cardiff and the Vale. Adults are referred by GP, for example, or they can self-refer. It should be noted that the diagnosis rate is approximately 50%, so a referral by no means guarantees a diagnosis. It provides information and support to parents and carers of autistic children and adults. Please note that it does not work with children, but parents who ring will be appropriately signposted. The main work outside diagnosis is the provision of individual and group interventions for adults who would not otherwise be able to access mainstream services. It needs to be made clear, however, that this work is not like the kind of work you might be familiar with from social services. Most of the work that's carried out is very low-key. It's preventative in nature. It enables people to access parts of their own community. It might be help joining a group, or it might be about benefits or CV writing or PIP assessments. The clinical team also carries out more clinical work, things such as CBT and more in-depth psychological examinations. However, what you won't get from the Integrated Autism Service is a support worker to take somebody out for a walk with them, to here and there, and to go out for a coffee with them. That's not how it works. The team also carries out indirect work, working with professionals who are engaged with autistic adults in various fields. It is not the job of the team to replace the work of other professionals. You can't be specialist in autism and also a specialist in benefits, or a specialist teacher, or a specialist mental health person, or a specialist social worker. What the team does is provide expertise to allow those other professionals to do their work, to reflect on their practice, and adapt their practice in appropriate ways to work better with this population group. That might be joint work with members of staff in community mental health. It might be working with our colleagues in the learning disability team to provide some specialist input for an adult who is autistic as well as learning disabled. It is providing that expertise on this particular topic that is so important to allowing other professionals to do their work and to do it well. Adults access the team for various reasons. There are as many different pieces of work going on as there are adults accessing the team. However, there are some standard modules, standard pieces of work that almost all adults will access. Adults who have received a diagnosis of autism will be invited to take part in a 6-week post-diagnostic group. This provides an overview of the condition and helps adults come to terms with the condition that they now find themselves diagnosed with. While this is generally held simply for adults who have gone through the diagnostic process in the Integrated Autism Service, adults who have had a diagnosis further in the past can also apply to access it. During normal times, when we are not locked down by COVID, there are 2 monthly adult forums, one in Barry and one in Cardiff. They provide an opportunity for adults to meet other adults on the spectrum, and each monthly forum will feature a speaker from some agency that they might find interesting. That could be almost anything: the police, a mental health charity, someone who's running a cafe. It could be jelly printing. We've had all sorts of things. We also run a social skills course based on the NAS Socialise course. This is where adults learn some of the skills that they need to help them through life. Starting and ending conversations, taking turns in conversations. What are acceptable topics that you can speak about? That kind of thing. And we finally have a Skills for Life group, which is, as it says, things like cooking, cleaning, managing finance, and so forth. The cooking section is overseen by the dietitian and is part of the Get Cooking initiative. There is a link in the link page to the children's and adults version of the Public Health Wales Get Cooking initiative. Finally, for completeness, these are some of the things that the service does not do. It doesn't provide an under 18 diagnosis. It is in no sense an urgent or emergency care service. It cannot prescribe medication. It has no ability to fund any kind of commissioned services. The interventions are intended to be short-term. The team does not provide long-term therapy or care management. And although parent carers can contact us for advice, there is no respite service provided. I'm now going to give an example of a charity or a third sector service. This service is delivered by the charity Autism Spectrum Connections Cymru, or ASCC, and is often referred to as 21 High Street, so called because that is where they are based. All of their focus support and advice groups are free of charge. The only cost to individuals is for social groups where there may be a charge for entertainment and or refreshments, i.e. cinema trips and similar. 21 High Street is a 4-storey building in Cardiff city centre and is for the use of people aged 16 and over. They must have a diagnosis of autism and, as their website describes it, high-functioning autism or Asperger's syndrome. In other words, you need to be, to an extent, self-reliant and able to get there under your own steam. It is not suitable for people with an associated learning disability or any serious associated mental health issues. And the building itself is not really suitable for an associated physical disability, being on 4 floors. The team here offer focused one-to-one support and advice on housing, employment and benefits. They can also meet with adults to discuss problem solving in a number of areas, as well as providing a variety of social opportunities throughout the month. Adults can also access independent advocacy through this service. Major difference to a service like the Integrated Autism Service is an absence of any clinical support. These two services will often cross-refer to one to the other when the individual has first come to one service and their needs is perhaps better met by the other service. Many young people with a diagnosis of autism are academically able. They may often excel academically, particularly in topics like maths or computer science, although to think that is all that they are able to excel at is to undersell them. It is therefore understandable that many of these young people would wish to progress to university. This is, after all, the path that many of their peers will be taking. However, it needs to be understood that they will need some extra support to succeed and thrive in university. They will need to prepare. Preparing will involve the acquisition of skills beyond the academic. It is a large leap for any young person to go from living at home to living perhaps in hall of residence or sharing a house with colleagues. It requires skills such as managing finance, preparing meals, travelling, all sorts of things. Many young people struggle when they first go to university to acquire these skills. Autistic young people can struggle even more so. It's an important step to consider those skills that are needed and to take steps to ensure that they gain them, ideally before going to university. Disabled Students Allowances, or DSAs, are available if you have a disability, long-term health condition, mental health condition, autism spectrum disorder, or specific learning difficulties. DSAs are grants to help pay the essential extra costs you may have as a direct result of your disability. You must meet the definition of a disability under the Equality Act 2010. Applications for Disabled Student Allowance take place at the same time as the original application for student loans. Once your application for a normal student loan has gone in, you can then make the Disabled Student Allowance application. You will need to provide evidence of a particular disability. How that disability translates into particular needs that relate to the student will be assessed at an assessment centre. There are a number of these throughout Wales, and it has to be one of the approved ones. The assessment will indicate the level and nature of the assistance that the young person will require. This may include a non-medical helper, perhaps taking notes in lectures. It may be specialist equipment such as laptops, something to record the lectures, all sorts of things. It depends on the disability and how it is affecting the student. Cardiff University run a thing called the Discovery Project. This project is for young people with autistic spectrum conditions between the ages of 14 and 19 who have the potential to go on to university. Pupils on the scheme will be mentored by current university students who can give an insight into university life and help equip pupils with skills needed for university life. This will be done through a combination of activities including workshops, academic taster sessions and social events. Together, the young people and their mentors will plan out a calendar for the year ahead, combining events from the program of groups, sessions, with individual activities such as planning a meal and cooking together, going for a coffee or attending open days. The project runs fortnightly from October to Easter, and pupils who attend the Discovery Project are also invited to a summer school held in July each year. Summer school takes place after the end of A-levels. Typically, this will be for young people with an autism diagnosis who are considering attending Cardiff University, although it is equally applicable to attending any university. Young people, plus a parent or carer, arrive in Talibond halls. They get paired up with a student mentor, and the young people shoot off with the student to explore the university, buy food in Aldi, have a sample lecture, play the sound lab, whatever is available. Meanwhile, the parents also get taken around the university, have lectures on funding, DSA, things of that nature. In the evening, the young people, having shopped in Aldi, will cook a meal in a flat in Tally North and feed it to their unresisting parents, generally spag bol or a pizza or something of that nature, and then spend the night in student accommodation. The parents also have to spend the night in student accommodation because you need to be on hand just in case anything goes wrong. It's not a perfect introduction to student life, but it's a lot better than just turning up on your first day with all the Freshers' Week going on. The young person may opt for further education at our local colleges, Cardiff and the Vale. They provide a broad range of courses at a range of levels, ranging from entry level right up to higher education courses. They provide a drop-in support space for learners with additional learning needs and disabilities. Both main campuses, Cardiff City Centre and Calcott Road, Barry, have drop-in ALN hubs. Each hub is staffed by a member of the additional learning needs team who will be available Monday to Friday to help with any queries. Students can access the hub at any time during their time in college, and it is a safe space if they wish to discuss anything. The team is a friendly team and can offer advice and guidance and help and support with any problems that they may have. The city centre campus in Cardiff also provides access to a hive. The hive is a space designed for bespoke interventions for learners with ALN. The hive provides a space for learners to attend assistive technology sessions to help them become more independent, have lessons with the SPLD specialist lecturer, attend clubs for learners with autistic spectrum condition and social communication difficulties, and have person-centred reviews of individual development plans and progress at college, and to meet with outside agencies. Skills for Progression courses are for young people who require a more gradual introduction to further education. These courses offer a more streamlined timetable with less movement around the college campuses, smaller class sizes, and space in the curriculum to address personal barriers to progression. These courses can act as a stepping stone to further study at college, as well as supported or independent employment. Throughout the academic year, learners will participate in a variety of classroom-based lessons, individual and group projects, and off-site learning activities. The approach to the curriculum is always learner-led, with learners dictating the pace of progression through those activities. All learning activities are aimed to facilitate skill development in the following areas: self-assessment and personal progression, building resilience, well-being, independent learning, working in a team, independent living skills. Learners are also expected to continue improving their essential skills, including working towards qualifications in application of number and communication. Learners are supported to maintain either paper or e-portfolios, recording their progress and achievements against assessment criteria. Learners will be expected to produce evidence in a variety of ways, including written work, photographs, videos, clips, sound bites, and infographics. These portfolios will be assessed on completion. Learners will also be observed carrying out practical activities throughout the academic year. This course has been designed with learners who have autism in mind, although applications are welcome for any young people who believe this curriculum meets their learning and personal development aspirations. Work-based learning, as the name suggests, is learning away from academic institutions and is generally vocational in nature. For learners who are not quite ready for an apprenticeship, a traineeship route is a way to help them become work ready. A traineeship is a pre-apprenticeship training program that prepares 16 to 18-year-olds for the world of work. Having spent most of their time in school or college, learners may need a helping hand progressing from education to the workplace. And this is what traineeship routes are for. An apprenticeship is a work-based learning program that enables the young person to learn on the job, develop their skills, achieve nationally recognized level 2 to 5 qualifications, earn a wage, and build a rewarding career. Apprenticeships offer a hands-on alternative to the continual demands of essays, exams, and studying that university entails. There are no classrooms or homework. They will learn working on the job with help and support, with essential skills in English and maths if needed. At university, they can choose from a wide variety of degrees, but as apprenticeships, they can work in almost any sector too. Apprenticeships are generally range from level 2 up to level 5 higher apprenticeships, and on up to degree apprenticeships. The ultimate aim of organisations of this nature is to prepare learners for employment. Of necessity, this has only been a very quick snapshot of some of the opportunities that are available to young people and the services that exist to support them in their quest. There are many other services available and many other routes towards adulthood. I have put links to some of these organisations in the links pages, and my personal contact details are on the front page. If you have further questions on the subject of autism and in particular around young people transitioning into adulthood, please get in touch. I'm always delighted to help. In the second lecture, I will be there to deliver the material and answer questions if you have any. Thank you for your attention.